Let us pray. Our Father, we are blessed. Much like the resurrection of your Son, this place has been resurrected, and we get a day to come out here and play. Lord, we thank you for everyone connected with bringing this track back and giving us the opportunity to race on it. Lord, we're thankful for the outpouring of support for this area of the country that was devastated just a few short weeks ago. And we ask that you would continue to look over the families and the communities that are trying to piece their lives back together, and that you would raise up volunteers to come and help. And we thank you for that. And that spirit is found in the men and women who protect the freedoms that we enjoy, and we ask you to look over them also. But today we ask you to look over these drivers, these teams, these competitors, and everyone connected with this race, and even these fans. Lord, put your hand of protection upon us, cover our backs, and see us safely home. For we give you thanks and praise in Jesus' precious and holy name. Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
National anthem, and it'll be a few moments or so before we get everybody in, get the drivers strapped in and set. But we want to introduce you to our honorary starter from Brushy Mountain Power Sports, the general manager, Dakota Flynn.
An absolutely beautiful rendition of our national anthem and the invocation as well to set the tone on how this race ended up on this day. Now the second to last race wasn't the original agenda for the North Wilkesboro stop on the Whelen Modified Tour in 2024, but now it would be race 15 of 16 for this year's NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour season here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. And we heard it mentioned in the invocation, Andy, the reason why this race is where it is today is because of the devastating impacts of the Hurricane Helene that came through this region of the country, and the many members of the tour have stepped up in a very big way.
The devastation of Hurricane Helene was felt throughout the entire United States, and while the North versus the South rivalry has been played up over the years, when in need, we are one big family. There you see the hauler of Ron Silk. Teams from the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour brought down supplies from the Northeast to North Wilkesboro to assist with hurricane relief efforts, as the Speedway has been a distribution point since early October, and the overflowing supplies that were donated as a result. As you can see the footage, you can see the charcoal, you can see the diapers, you can see all of the supplies that you just need to live, paper towels, toilet paper, just some needs, and all coming together for a great cause.
And the teams continue to express their thoughts, best wishes, and many continue to donate additional items for those who were impacted by the devastation in this region. We're going to step aside as drivers are strapping into their cars. The command to fire engines coming up on the other side of the break. You're watching the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour on Flow. The field is gridded up, and the drivers are strapping into their race cars for the Brushy Mountain Power Sports 150 with the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. And Andy, qualifying is already in the books, and this race is already starting to play out very similar to what we saw last year.
Different racetrack with the surface, but the same result. Austin Beers on the pole, and to his outside, the driver who won last year, but also has partaken in a few exhibition races in his 3 open wheel attempts. Matt Hirschman has an average finish of 1.7. Can anybody beat him this afternoon? We're going to find out with our 150-lap race.
The subplot is the car starting behind him is the opposite order they came to the checkered flag in what was a 99-lap Smart Modified Tour sanctioned event that was held here, the Southern Regional Tour type series for these type of race cars. And it was Justin Bonsignor who got the win with Hirschman right on the back Nerf bar as they were coming to the checkered flag. The championship picture has been painted. Ron Silk, Justin Bonsignor, your top 3. Only thing left to do is get the engines fired. We're going to turn it over trackside to get the command.
And now to the start-finish line. And Julian and Brielle Lackey, the daughters of Chris and Alexis Lackey, the owners of Brushy Mountain Power Sports, for the words we've been waiting for.
Start. I love it when the kids just re-energize us as race fans and get these big horsepower race cars off to an amazing start. 20 firing up for the Brushy Mountain Power Sports 150 second annual event and the second to last event before the championship. Matter of fact, the NASCAR Whelen Modified Championship will be decided within this week as the race happens at Martinsville on Saturday. This is the penultimate, easy for me to say, penultimate event leading up to the championship week for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Still anybody's race. Ronnie Silk comes in with a 5-point advantage. And points will cascade at 1 apiece. 43 for the win, 42 for second, 41 for third. But there's a way that they can pick up some extra points and really max things out, which is exactly what Justin Bonsignor was doing last week.
We're going to be crunching the numbers all day long to see how that championship finale is going to be sized up. Earlier on today, we got to witness right here on Flow, qualifying for the Mayhew Tools Dominator Pole Award. And for the second year in a row, a familiar name makes up not only the pole, but the front row as well. And we're going to take a glaze at our starting lineup, as Andy mentioned, 20 cars strong, and the front row being made up of a couple of drivers who have had much success already this season, and that of Austin Beers, who has a win in 2024, alongside of Matt Hirschman, who has also gone to victory lane in his partial schedule this season.
Next up, we have Carson Lofton making his 3rd start of the 2024 season here for the Whelen Modified Tour. To the outside, coming in position number 2, Justin Bonsignor, last week's winner at Thompson Speedway. Car number 51 starts 4.
Row number 3, Luke Baldwin. We heard from him earlier with Jesse Punch. He's coming off what has been a tremendous weekend so far. Caught the wall in qualifying. We'll be watching that race car. And on the outside, Ron Silk. 5 points is the deficit between he and second place in points, Justin Bonsignor. It'll be Silk in 6th.
Oh, it's the old blue number 3, Tyler Ripken, behind the wheel of that legendary car today. And to the outside is Kyle Bonsignor in car number 22.
Patrick Emmerling's got a shot at the title. He's 21 points back. He needs a big afternoon here. He'll be starting back in 9th alongside of Craig Lutz, trying to break through to victory lane for the first time this season. He'll be starting in 10th spot.
Lutz coming off a great run last week as well. Next row has Chase Dowling in car number 44. He spent time in the top 5 last week at Thompson. And also Joey Coulter on the outside, making his 2nd start of the year in the Whelen Modified Tour, car number 02.
Ryan Newman takes the wheel to the bike curb, and Gary Putnam, number 77, 3rd start of the season, 2nd with this race team, alongside 9-time Whelen Modified Tour winner Tim Connolly in the 4.
He has a ton of experience here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. To the inside of the next row, car number 06, the driver who wants to hang it out wide here. Watch for him in turns number 1 and 2. That's Sandy Ramo in the 06, followed by Bobby Labonte in the 38.
Multi-time track champion at Wall Stadium Speedway, Andrew Kraus going to drop to the tail end of the field. He's scheduled to start alongside of Whelen Modified Tour legend of 30 years strong, Ken Hagee. And rounding out the field is scheduled to be that of Christopher Hatton Jr. and Melissa Fifield as the field continues on their parade of pace laps with Kraus dropping to the back of the field. Let's get one pre-race report real quick. Here's Jesse Punch trackside.
Hey guys, as you laid out, Patrick Emmerling in that one car enters this race third in the points, 21 points back. So he's gonna have to get something done today if he wants to keep himself in this championship battle. I talked to him just before he got in the car. I said, how much of a Hail Mary are you willing to play today to make it happen? He said, look, well, I guess we'll have to see. All I know is that I'm trying to get up there. And he pointed up to that beautiful, historic raised victory lane. So will we see the one car in victory lane for the 4th time this season? I guess we'll have to find out.
Jesse, that's a great point. Winning at North Wilkesboro Speedway is an experience of its own as we are one lap away from the green flag. And Andy, that's something that's been a chatter throughout the pit area. Of course, the championship's on everyone's mind, but riding that elevator to victory lane, that's something that may be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for some of these drivers.
Whether you had experience in a cup car like Bobby Labonte or you're 18 years old and you're Luke Baldwin, each one of those drivers pointed to that raised victory lane and riding the elevator. We have 150 laps to decide at the Brushy Mountain Power Sports 150 here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Austin Beers from the inside of the front row with last year's winner, Matt Hirschman in car number 60. 20 cars roar to life off of turn number 4. We're underway.
Beers going to get the jump on the pole. Hirschman's going to try to cross him under, and they're side by side for the lead on the backstretch, entering turn number 3 at full song with Hirschman on the bottom. Beers up top off of turn number 4. Lap 1 to last year's winner, Matt Hirschman.
And you can feel the draft already starting to come into factor as they enter turn number 1, full song, nearly 150 miles an hour. And now single file going into turn number 3. Justin Bonsignor rides in third, and car number 23 moves up to 4th. That's Carson Lofton.
Big moment there off the corner for Bonsignor as he and Lofton almost got together. They almost touch again in turns 1 and 2. That's Bonsignor on the bottom, inside in the white 51. Outside, Carson Lofton defends the spot in the red 23.
With championships coming down to a single point. First, Kyle Bonsignor, a little bit out of shape. Car number 23 still under full power, but losing a bunch of time. He falls back just a little bit, right in front of Joey Coulter. Now eyes on Austin Beers in car number 64. Beers right down low. Bonsignor right behind him, trying to get to the front. Remember, last week at Thompson, he picked up an extra point by leading the most laps. You never know when that point is going to make a difference in your championship hopes. Say he wins by 1 championship point after Martinsville next week. That's where the point could have possibly come from.
Now it is up to Silk to try to get by another young gun in the field. In fact, 2 of our youngest drivers in the field, nose to tail, and Lofton up top in the 23. That's Silk and the silver 16 on the inside trying to get by. And he knows there's now a 1-car buffer between he and Bonsignor in terms of the top 2 in the championship. While the race stays green, we've seen Andrew Kraus and Melissa Fifield come to the pit area under green flag conditions. Keep you abreast as if they rejoin the race. The top 3 tighten back up off 2.
This is really starting to look like Darlington through turns number 1 and 2. You'll watch the drivers next time wash up the racetrack, nearly touch the wall between 1 and 2. Austin Beers takes a peek to the inside, gets back on the back bumper of the PD Motorsports number 60, but all 3 drivers again washing up a little bit, but getting a great bite off of turn number 2. Here comes Justin Bonsignor.
That's something that's been a bit of a theme all weekend long here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Perfecting the art of the middle of turns 1 and 2, getting a late apex from the center off, and being able to drive up alongside the competition like Bonsignor just did a lap ago. He'll try the same move on Hirschman off 2, and he closes up to the back Nerf bar at the 60.
No big surprise, Eric, that some of the drivers who ran or are running in the top 5 early on all had experience last night on this brand new surface. And here's the battle for the lead. Justin Bonsignor wasting no time, nearly touching the number 60 of Matt Hirschman, and they'll go at it again at a turn number 3.
Just as we saw 24 hours ago, less than 24 hours ago, these 2 battling for the top spot at North Wilkesboro Speedway, and the whole pack is starting to accordion back together now that the top 2 are fighting for the lead.
Is Justin going to try the outside? No. A mini crossover move. He gets the whole shot going into turn number 3. They're side by side. Put the 51 to the lead off of turn number 4.
Hirschman trying to fight back on the outside and at the stripe. Bonsignor is going to lead that lap by half a car length and cement the lead, sliding up in front of the bow of the 60 in turn 1, while Hirschman cuts the car back to the inside.
Lap number 11 shows that Justin Bonsignor goes to the lead. And much like Matt Hirschman, they raced here last night. The difference being the PD Motorsports number 60 was the actual car that raced last night, where Justin racing a different number 51 here this afternoon. But same result for the driver who picked up the win last night and took the ride in the elevator.
Now it's up to Hirschman to try to hold on to second by that of the pole sitter, Austin Beers, who's hounding the backside of Hirschman down the front straightaway. And since Bonsignor was able to get sole possession of the race lead, the pack of cars that were starting to gather behind him kind of got spread out a little bit as Silk looks to the inside of Lofton for fourth.
Ronnie Silk can waste zero time. He comes into this race with a 5-point advantage, and throughout the afternoon, we'll be keeping an eye on the trending points as it sits right now. Ronnie Silk's still the point leader, but just by 1 or 2 markers. Think of this. They started the season in February at New Smyrna, and they're only a handful of points apart, and something tells me the way these two drivers have been running all year, we're going to go into the championship race separated by 2 or 3 points, maybe even closer.
Silk and Lofton still side by side as Beers trying to get by Hirschman for second, but to no avail. Lofton's doing a great job trying to make that high line work as Silk starts to edge out in front off of corner 4. One of the most amazing stats coming into this race in terms of that championship battle. The top 2 in Silk and Bonsignor, even though there's a 5-point separation, they both have the same exact average finish with 4.4. Bonsignor trying to better that as he is out in front of this field, and Silk was able to get by the youngster in Lofton for sole possession of 4th.
Many would call Tyler Rimkema a youngster, but now 27 years of age, not the new kid on the block anymore. Right in front of him is the driver who is third-generation racer Luke Baldwin, who last night picked up a championship in the Smart Modified Tour. Did not celebrate. Think of you as 18-year-old you. You win a big race championship. What do? Well, you celebrate till the wee hours of the morning. No, not 18-year-old Luke Baldwin. He made sure he got 7 hours sleep last night, and out here trying to earn respect amongst the drivers in the Whelen Modified Tour. Guy's got a great head on his shoulders. He's got a fast race car and swings up right in front of Tyler Ripkema. Nearly lost it that time.
Trying to cut the car down to the bottom to get that good drive off turn 2, and the back end just would not cooperate as Ripkema now tries to stick a wheel to the inside. They just about touch at the start-finish line. Ripkema still committed to the bottom with Patrick Emmerling watching on.
Patrick Emmerling needs something to happen, and he needs it to happen sometime in the next half an hour to 45 minutes. He comes into this race 21 points out of the point lead. He entered the championship chat somewhere in the middle of August. He came out of nowhere, won 3 races out of 5, and didn't have an off week last night, but compared to those stats in August and September, did fall back just a little bit. Again, comes in about 21 points out, needs to have the drivers in front of him have a really, really tough day. But if you look at the stats of the Whelen Modified Tour, Justin Bonsignor and Ronnie Silk, they only have 1 finish outside of the top 10 between the 2 of them this year. That is how consistent they've been. And in a division that just craves consistency, 1 wreck at Richmond Speedway where he finished 22nd might have taken Patrick Emmerling out of the championship back in February.
Back up to the battle for second. Here's Hirschman still fending off Austin Beers. We mentioned last year's race, albeit on the older surface. These were the 2 drivers that essentially dominated that race, leading a large portion of last year's running of this event. Now they find themselves a little bit further behind that of race leader Justin Bonsignor by the tune of about 3/4 of a second. The gap from Bonsignor to Hirschman, with Beers, Silk, and Carson Lofton rounding out your top 5. With 25 laps complete, we are 1/5 of the way through this race.
You know, talking to Justin this afternoon, or actually this morning as we have an early afternoon race, Justin said, yeah, we have a different race car here today, but I still learned a lot last night, even though where I learned more last night than I thought I was going to learn as far as racing at night versus racing during the daytime. Usually there isn't a lot of crossover. He said the X factor is the fact that there is brand new pavement in 2024, and the new pavement kind of washes out any sort of racetrack temperature change. It's going to be pretty consistent throughout the day and the night, so they felt pretty confident about the race car, and he's doing exactly what he has to do. That's go out there and lead out laps. Yeah, one driver sideways off of turn number 2.
And that is the 06 of Sammy Ramo, who had quite the moment in turns 1 and 2 in qualifying earlier today. And now the car has stepped out on him to draw the first caution flag of the race. Ramo's going to get the car refired and righted. It was right in front of the leaders that we were able to see the Westminster, Massachusetts native go around off the second corner in what is his 3rd start of 2024.
Let's check out the replay. Here he goes off of turn number 2. Looking at the 06 of Sammy Ramo just out to the on the right side of your screen. Looks like he just got in the throttle a little too quick.
Lost it all by himself off the second turn to slow this field for the first time and crack open the bottle of strategic options for these race teams. Andy, we've been talking about it all day long. They've got 8 change tires available. They could only change 2 per caution period. We've heard some drivers and teams say we're going to see a bunch of stops, almost like Darlington. If a yellow comes out, come in and get fresh rubber. Others say track position means more. This is going to be our first litmus test as to what some of these teams have in mind.
What's going to be interesting about this is if you thought you were going to get greedy by coming in, changing 2 tires, realizing it's going to be a long caution flag, and then come in and change the other 2 tires, that doesn't happen. When we say 2 tires per caution, that's it. And NASCAR officials are watching too. So you have to be certainly on your game here. Tire fall off not going to be a major deal, much like it was last year with the old racing surface, but will there be any fake outs here?
Little bit of trickery throughout the top 5, and the first taker maybe was going to be that of Tyler Ripkema. He thought better of it, and it's going to be Luke Baldwin who's the first to dive to the pit lane under this first yellow flag that flies after the spin by Sammy Ramo off turn 2.
So he's going to be the guinea pig in this one. If Luke Baldwin and everybody on pit road is watching this, if the 7 car suddenly picks up 6 or 7 spots in the first 10 laps when we go green, that is a piece of note or something that you can put in the notebook that a lot of teams are going to use if we get a late race caution. So if I'm Patrick Emmerling and I'm in 8th place, and 8th place is all I'm going to get with the tires that I have, and there's already a notebook built where a guy like Luke Baldwin came in and used the fresh rubber to his advantage and picked up a bunch of spots, I'm going to take that, I'm going to throw that Hail Mary. That's something that we've used a number of times here this afternoon. Emmerling's going to be the driver that needs to do it, but here we go into turn number 3.
So the first trip around was for cars that wanted to top off on fuel. Here comes the rest of the field, and we see many teams with tires up on the wall after just 25 laps of green flag competition, 30 laps in the books now. And Justin Bonsignor, the race leader, leading everyone down to the pit lane. Remember, Bonsignor lost the lead last week, and Thompson, after a problem on pit road, battled back to win the race. The team is going to try to execute to perfection here to keep the lead if possible.
So I misspoke on that one. Is that consistent with all the caution flags where the first lap under caution is only for drivers that want to top off fuel? Okay,
that's what it appears. The 7NY came in for tires as well.
Because I built up the whole story and like, wow, look at that. And it turns out he was just topping off. All right. Well, that's all right. People are going to be taking a big note on what we have here and whether they're going to pick up their lap times here in the next 10 laps once the green flag flies again. No major change on the racetrack. You have the 51 of Justin Bonsignor, followed by the number 60 of Matt Hirschman. Then there's Austin Beers, your top 3. But one driver stays out. That is Chris Hatton out of Ormond Beach, Florida, in the Generac number 09. And lights are out on the pace car. But no, we're still, the wheel and caution lights are still on.
So Hatton was in fact a lap down, so he may be waiting for the free pass to get up to and by the pace car. I believe Chase Dowling is going to inherit the lead by virtue of being the only car that did not stop on this wave of pit road being open for the first time on this first yellow. All the while, the number 77 of Ryan Newman has come back in to top off on fuel as well.
And Newman wasn't very happy with his race car. He said the short run was really, really good. If they could get something better on the long run, then they would really have something for the field this afternoon. But an extra stop for Newman might pay dividends later on. And with Chase Dowling as the driver who didn't stop, he's going to be the guinea pig to see if the rubber actually stays.
We're getting word that the race leader coming in did in fact take fuel only in that of Justin Bonsignor, who cycles out unofficially into the 4th position. Behind that of Dowling, Hirschman, Austin Beers, then Bonsignor and Silk, 4th and 5th respectively. Once Hatton gets waved around the pace car, and now Dowling appears to be signaling that he's going to come this time through. So what we're being told is that the first batch of cars that came down the pit lane early, evidently, they came down a little bit too early. They're going to be pushed to the back of the field as they come to the 1-to-go signal this time by. So Luke Baldwin, Ryan Newman, Sammy Ramo were a couple of those cars that were on the pit lane the first time as Hatton gets the free pass, and they come to the line here to double up for the restart. So with Dowling ducking to the pit lane, the final time through, they're still changing tires on the Roxbury, Connecticut natives number 44 car as the lights are out on the pace car and they're on the back straightaway getting set for the restart, and Dowling's going to be able to break away just in time. And they're going to extend this caution by at least 1 lap.
And it looks like Kyle Bonsignor in car number 22 also took some tires as well. Yeah, Dowling picks up the back of the field, which puts Austin Beers up in front in car number 64. So it's a reboot, if you will, of the initial start where you have Beers on the inside and then Hirschman up in the second position. 51 of Justin Bonsignor in 3rd, but up to 4th, sneakily up to 4th is Ronnie Silk.
Championship points battle coming down to the final 2 races. Top 2 in points side by side in row number 2 for this restart.
One thing that's important in the championship battle, remember Justin Bonsignor has led a lap, Ronnie Silk hasn't, so there's an extra point for the 51 as the separation looks like it's unofficially 3 points right now. That's just us doing simple math. Of course, NASCAR keeps a better handle on that than we do. But Bonsignor will restart from 3rd, Silk from 4th, looking for the green flag in the Geico restart zone off of turn number 4.
Austin Beers brings us back down for the restart as they come to the line to complete lap 36. We're back underway with Beers trying to slide up, but not quite clear of Hirschman off the corner, who's got a great run off turn 2. Does the 60 car.
That's all it took for him to really get a good run through turns number 3 and 4. He keeps the speed up. Here comes Bonsignor on the inside. They'll drag it back to the start-finish line. Beers will nip Hirschman at the line for the lead back into turn number 1.
Hirschman's not giving up, though, up in that top groove in turns 1 and 2. What great racing at the head of the field amongst the 2 drivers who led us to the green flag just like this, with Beers the leader, Hirschman second. Hirschman running way wide off turn 4, and it's almost a dead heat at the line.
They nearly touch tires going into treacherous turn number 1. You'll see both drivers swing wide. They stay off of each other, which is a testament to their talents, and they'll try to get to turn number 3. Remember that you're going uphill towards or off of turn number 2 to turn number 3. That's the way this track was built. When they were building North Wilkesboro Speedway in the 40s, they ran out of money in trying to make it even. So you'll go downhill 20 feet, head into turn number 1 where you carry a big run of speed, nearly 150 miles an hour, and then when you pull off at turn number 2, you're going uphill for a while, which certainly messes up your entry if you're not careful getting into turn 3.
Chris Hatton Jr. was off the pace. He got back to the pit area safely. Bonsignor up to second around Austin Beers. Looked inside, looked outside, going to try inside again off turn 4. Here comes Justin Bonsignor. Set the pace in the early stanza of this race and wants to do it again. Not quite clear in the middle of the corner. Can he slide up in front of Hirschman? He leaves the door open.
And Beers is riding his tire tracks as they work their way through turns number 3 and 4. Justin Bonsignor. And in this championship battle, it seems like whoever is the chaser, whenever they are on offense, they are at their best. Earlier in the year, it was Ronnie Silk when he muscled the point lead away from Justin Bonsignor. Now the tables have turned and 51 shows the way, 16 shows the way. 51's chasing down, Silk in 4th, but back to the lead. It's Justin Bonsignor off of turn number 2.
Here's Beers trying to set up Hirschman. Got that late apex off the second corner, but couldn't get enough of a run to be able to make that move down the backstretch.
Out of the picture is a driver that you really want to keep an eye on, who had a great pit stop, is Luke Baldwin. Baldwin is making his way through the field. He is slicing his way up through the top 10, currently behind car number 23. just outside the top 5. Luke Baldwin's going to go down to the inside as they battle in turn number 4. There he is on your screen with Patrick Emmerling right behind him. They're going to be side by side off the corner. So whatever adjustments Luke Baldwin made during that caution flag, they are paying dividends, because remember, he went to the back of the pack for pitting too early.
These two very good friends off the racetrack, the 7 of Luke Baldwin, the 23 of Carson Lofton. They're part of a generational family of racing team as Baldwin slides off of turn 4. Emmerling now changing lanes, maybe to try to follow Carson Lofton through, or maybe he may look to dip inside the 2 of them as this fight continues in 3.
I really feel for Patrick Emmerling at this point. He needs something to happen in that 1. He can't win the championship this afternoon. Nobody can really win the championship, but Patrick Emmerling certainly can lose the championship. The drivers that he is chasing are a half dozen spots ahead of him, and with the drivers ahead of him running side by side, he wants to get around both of them, gain those 1-2 points. It was close, and boy, Lofton gets out of shape.
Emmerling was trying to get up and around Melissa Fifield. It was a little bit slower on the bottom of the racetrack and had a decision to make, and that was to dart up high, kicking Lofton up into the marbles.
And then there's Craig Lutz entering your picture in car number 46. Lutz with that red car swings wide. One driver goes down to his inside as we watch Luke Baldwin back into turn number 1. Last night, a champion. Talked to Luke this afternoon and asked him if he had any memories of his grandfather, Tom Baldwin, racing modifieds. He wasn't old enough to experience that, but due to the beauty of YouTube, has gone back and watched a lot of his grandfather's racing. And that legendary number 7 continuing the tradition coming up through the field.
Third of the way through this race for the Brushy Mountain Power Sports 150 at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Justin Bonsignor leads. Battles continuing all throughout the top 10. The margin between Bonsignor and Hirschman a little under half a second, with Hirschman second, Beers third, and Ronnie Silk in 4th, with the points looking to take a pretty big swing should the running order stay as it is, with now under 100 laps to go.
As it runs right now, Justin Bonsignor, not only the leader on the racetrack, but as a result of leading these laps and where Ronnie Silk is on the racetrack, we have a brand new points leader, the trending point leader. That's how close the Whelen Modified Tour is in 2024. Ronnie Silk came in with a 5-point advantage. The swing is now 3 to the good for Justin Bonsignor, who leads Matt Hirschman off of turn number 2. Amazing, and both of these drivers so calm and collected, at least perceptibly calm and collected. If I were running for a championship on the level of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, I would be coming out of my tree. But these guys both have a been there, done that mentality. They've been there, done that with each other so many times this year. And I asked Ronnie, so when was the last time you talked to Justin and you weren't at the racetrack? And he was very quick to point out when that was, and it was a couple of months ago. So he said, you know, we're good until we're not, like a lot of friendships in life. And these drivers just happen to have a major racing championship between the two of them if they're trying. Can you imagine your best friend, and you're running your best friend for the championship, and week in, week out, you guys get into it. And you can't just say, it's my buddy. Maybe for the first 2 or 3 times. But when you do this week in and week out, year in, year out, patients are going to run thin. And you've certainly seen them boiled over a number of times, even in just this past summer. So the amount of personal time that Justin